Hi, my name is Ediz Tiyansan. I'm the Los Angeles correspondent for CGTN America. Here in California, definitely one of the biggest stories this year was the wildfires. They've been more and more on the headlines since their size and impact appear to be growing in recent years. Aside from that, obviously the coronavirus pandemic was one of the top stories for most people, but here in California we've regularly followed its impact on some of the most vulnerable groups, like the homeless people, for example. Because in 2021 we've seen a trend of more people losing their homes in a city with already one of the highest homeless populations, and they really felt the brunt of this pandemic. And since Los Angeles is a global hub for entertainment, I would say my third top story is the series of feature stories we've done on the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the entertainment industry. So we've looked at the losses in film and TV production, the shift from in-person entertainment to the rise of the streaming services. So we've really covered how Hollywood businesses grappled with the pandemic. One of the most interesting or intriguing moments for us in 2021 happened while we were covering the Dixie Fire in Northern California. We visited a small historic town called Greenville just when an evacuation order had been lifted for the locals to come back. And because the fire had changed its direction, but it was still close by over there. And when we talked to some of the local residents, they were so happy to find their homes intact. Some of them were already helping others from nearby towns who've lost everything. And I remember meeting the owner of a music store who had a massive collection of old classic guitars, a lot of them with sentimental value. But then, within a day or two, the fire had just suddenly come back with strong winds and leveled the entire town. Hardly anything was spared. And it was just so shocking for me to see how these extreme weather conditions, largely exacerbated by climate change, could create such uncertainty and instability for these populations. Waiting or standby? I would use one of those words to describe 2021 because I remember all the optimism we had starting this past year, thinking the pandemic was going to be a thing of 2020, but it didn't. So I feel like we've all spent a fair amount of time just waiting on standby to see when we could really go back to normal, but we sure haven't yet.